What if I told you that some of the most beautiful, low-maintenance houseplants you could ever own don't need a single grain of soil? No dirt, no mess, no repotting, just a glass vessel, some clean water, and a living plant that keeps growing week after week, month after month, sometimes for years. Most people don't know this, but while we're all fussing over soil mixes, drainage holes, and overwatering problems, there are stunning plants out there that thrive in nothing but water. Plants with actual roots growing in clear glass vessels, producing new leaves month after month with almost zero effort. And today, I'm going to show you 20 of them that will change the way you think about indoor gardening forever. Stick around because number 8 on this list is one of the most popular houseplants on the internet, and most people have no idea it can live in water. And number 20 doesn't just grow in water. It floats on it and replicates itself without you lifting a finger. Let's get into it. Plant 1. Pothos. The unkillable classic. Let's start with the plant that practically invented water propagation for the everyday home gardener. Pothos is the gateway plant, the one that convinces people they can actually keep something alive. And for good reason. This trailing vine is so forgiving, so adaptable, and so willing to grow that it almost feels like it's doing you a favor. Epipremnum aureum comes in dozens of varieties: golden pothos, marble queen, neon, jade, and every single one of them will root and thrive in water indefinitely. You take a cutting just below a node, drop it in a jar of water, and within a week, you'll see roots forming. Within a month, those roots are thick and healthy. Within a few months, you've got a full trailing plant growing out of nothing but a glass on your shelf. Here's why pothos works so well in water. It's a tropical vine that naturally grows along streams, riverbanks, and wet forest floors. Water isn't a compromise for this plant. It's practically home. The key is keeping the water clean. Change it every week or two. Make sure the nodes stay submerged, and give it bright, indirect light. That's it. No fertilizer schedule. No soil amendments. No drainage drama. Pothos is the plant that proves indoor gardening doesn't need to be complicated. It just needs water and a window. Plant 2. Lucky bamboo. The living sculpture. Lucky bamboo has been growing in water on kitchen counters and office desks for decades, and most people don't even realize it's not actually bamboo. It's Dracaena sanderiana, a tropical plant from West Africa that just happens to look like bamboo and grows beautifully in nothing but water and pebbles. What makes lucky bamboo remarkable from a water-growing perspective is its longevity. This isn't a plant that survives in water for a few months. People keep lucky bamboo alive in water for 5, 10, even 15 years. The stalks stay green. New shoots emerge. The roots fill the container with a dense, healthy network that pulls nutrients straight from the water. The care couldn't be simpler. Use filtered or distilled water to avoid fluoride sensitivity. Keep it in indirect light. Direct sun will scorch the leaves and top off the water as it evaporates. Add a single drop of liquid fertilizer once a month if you want faster growth. That's the entire care routine for a plant that can outlive your lease. Lucky bamboo is the plant that proves water growing isn't just a short-term experiment, it's a long-term lifestyle. Plant 3. Heartleaf philodendron. The trailing workhorse. If pothos is the gateway plant, heartleaf philodendron is the plant that makes you fall in love with water gardening for good. This elegant trailing vine produces those perfect heart-shaped leaves on long cascading stems, and it does it just as happily in water as it does in soil, maybe even happier. Philodendron hederaceum is native to the tropical forests of Central and South America, where it climbs trees in humid, wet conditions. Putting a cutting in water isn't stressing this plant. It's giving it exactly what it evolved alongside. The roots that develop in water are clean, white, and vigorous, and the leaves keep coming. Here's the practical side. Take a stem cutting with at least 2 or 3 nodes, place it in a clear glass container, so you can monitor root health. Keep it in moderate to bright indirect light. Change the water weekly. That's it. The plant will trail beautifully over the edge of a shelf, a mantle, or a hanging planter, all without a speck of soil. Heartleaf philodendron is the plant that makes water growing look effortless, because for this plant, it genuinely is. If you're enjoying this, subscribe for weekly videos like this. In a moment, we'll get to the plant that NASA studied for its air-purifying abilities. Plant 4. English ivy. The air purifier. English ivy is one of those plants that most people associate with outdoor walls and old buildings. But here's what they're missing. Hedera helix grows beautifully in water indoors, and it happens to be one of the most effective air-purifying plants ever tested. NASA's Clean Air Study identified English ivy as one of the top plants for filtering airborne toxins, including formaldehyde, benzene, and trichloroethylene from indoor environments. And the fact that it thrives in water means you get those air-purifying benefits without any of the soil-related mess, mold, or fungus gnats that plague traditional houseplants. To grow ivy in water, take healthy stem cuttings, about 4 to 6 inches long, remove the lower leaves, and place them in water with the nodes submerged. Roots develop within 2 to 3 weeks. Keep the water fresh, provide bright indirect light, and the vine will grow steadily trailing, climbing, or cascading, depending on how you display it. English ivy is the plant that cleans your air while decorating your space, and it does both without needing a single pot of soil. Plant 5. Chinese evergreen. The low-light champion. Most water-grown plants need decent light to really perform. Chinese evergreen breaks that rule entirely. This is the plant for the room that doesn't get enough sun, the corner that kills everything, the office desk that's nowhere near a window. Aglaonema species are native to the shaded understory of tropical forests in Southeast Asia. They've evolved to thrive in very low light conditions. And when you add water growing to that natural shade tolerance, you get a plant that can survive in conditions where almost nothing else will. Take a stem cutting or place a rooted division in water. The roots are thick and fleshy, designed to handle moisture. Keep the container in low to moderate indirect light. Change the water every 1 to 2 weeks. The leaves, often beautifully patterned in silver, green, and pink, stay vibrant for months and months in nothing but a clean jar of water. Chinese evergreen is the plant that thrives in the spots where every other houseplant gives up. That's a superpower worth knowing about. Plant 6. Spider plant. The gift that keeps giving. Spider plants are the most generous houseplants on Earth. They produce babies constantly. Those little plantlets dangle from the mother plant on long arching stems like tiny green parachutes, and every single one of them will root in water in days. Chlorophytum comosum is one of the most well-known houseplants in the world. For good reason. It's nearly indestructible. It propagates itself, and it happens to grow beautifully in water. Those baby spider plants that form on runners, just snip them off and drop them in a small jar of water. Within a week, you'll see roots. Within a month, you have a healthy, growing plant. Here's the beauty of spider plants in water. You can create an entire collection from a single mother plant without spending a cent. Line up 5 or 6 jars on a windowsill, each with a spider plant baby rooting in water, and you've got an instant indoor garden. The plants stay compact, the roots stay healthy, and the whole setup requires nothing more than a weekly water change. And here's something most people don't consider. Spider plants also made NASA's Clean Air Study list for their ability to filter formaldehyde and other common indoor pollutants. So, you're not just growing free plants, you're growing free air purifiers. Spider plant is the plant that multiplies your collection for free, in water, indefinitely. So far, we've covered 6 plants that thrive in nothing but water. But the next one is a showstopper. Plant 7. Tradescantia. The living jewel. If you want a water-grown plant that actually stops people in their tracks, this is it. Tradescantia commonly known as spiderwort or inch plant, produces some of the most striking foliage in the entire houseplant world. Deep purples, vivid greens, shimmering silvers, and pink stripes that look almost painted on. Tradescantia zebrina, pallida, and nanook all root in water almost effortlessly. Take a cutting, put it in a glass, and within days, you'll see roots emerging from the nodes. The growth is fast, and the colors are stunning, especially when the plant gets bright, indirect light. The trailing stems cascade beautifully from shelves or hanging vessels. Here's the secret with Tradescantia in water. It actually tends to produce more vibrant color in water than in soil, because you can control the nutrient levels more precisely. A tiny amount of liquid fertilizer every few weeks keeps the colors intense and the growth steady. The plant practically glows. Tradescantia is the plant that turns a simple glass of water into a piece of living art. Plant 8. Monstera, the statement piece. Yes, you read that right. The monstera, that massive, fenestrated, Instagram-famous tropical plant, can grow in water. And not just survive, actually grow and produce new leaves. Monstera deliciosa cuttings root vigorously in water. Take a cutting with at least one node and one aerial root, place it in a large clear vase, and watch. Within a few weeks, long white roots will emerge and begin filling the container. Within a couple of months, new leaves will start unfurling. The leaves will be smaller than a soil-grown monstera, but the iconic splits and holes still develop as the plant matures. The key to long-term monstera success in water is the container. This plant needs space. Use a large glass vase, keep the water level consistent, and add a diluted liquid fertilizer every month to give the plant the nutrients it would normally get from soil. Keep the water clean and change it regularly to prevent algae buildup. The result is a dramatic, sculptural centerpiece that looks unlike anything else in your home. Visitors will stop and stare at a monstera growing in a glass vase. It's one of those things people genuinely don't believe until they see it. Monstera in water is the statement piece that proves even the biggest plants don't need dirt to be extraordinary. Plant 9. Peace lily. The flowering water plant. Here's something most people don't realize. Peace lilies, those elegant plants with dark green leaves and white sculptural flowers, can be transferred from soil to water and continue to grow and bloom indefinitely. Spathiphyllum species are semi-aquatic in their natural habitat, growing along streams and in marshy areas of tropical, Central, and South America. Water isn't foreign to this plant. It's familiar. The transition from soil to water takes some care. You need to gently wash all the soil from the roots, trim any damaged roots, and place the plant in a container where the roots sit in water, but the base of the leaves stays above the waterline. Once established, a peace lily in water is remarkably low maintenance. Change the water every week or two, provide moderate indirect light, and the plant will reward you with glossy foliage and, with proper light, those signature white blooms. It's one of the few water-grown plants that will actually flower for you. Peace lily is the plant that brings flowers to water growing and proves this method isn't just about foliage. The next plant is one you probably already have in your kitchen, and you can grow it in water forever. Plant 10. Mint. The kitchen staple. Mint is one of the easiest herbs to grow in water, and once you start, you'll wonder why you ever bothered buying it at the grocery store. A single cutting placed in a jar on your kitchen windowsill will produce fresh mint leaves for months. Mentha species are vigorous growers that root in water within days. Take a healthy stem, cutting about 4 to 5 inches long, strip the lower leaves, and place it in a glass of water. Roots appear within a week. New growth follows shortly after, and because mint grows aggressively, a single cutting can produce enough fresh leaves for tea, cocktails, salads, and garnishes all season long. Here's the practical advantage. Fresh mint from the grocery store costs $3 to $4 a bunch and wilts within a few days. A mint cutting in water on your counter costs nothing and produces fresh leaves indefinitely. Change the water weekly, give it decent light, and you'll have more mint than you know what to do with. Mint is the plant that pays for itself in flavor and saves you money while it does it. Halfway point, drop a comment and tell me which plant has surprised you the most so far. Plant 11. Basil. The cook's best friend. If mint works in water, basil is even better. Sweet basil grows vigorously in water and produces those aromatic leaves that are essential in Mediterranean, Thai, and Italian cooking. And unlike a potted basil plant that tends to bolt and die within weeks, basil in water can stay productive for months. Ocimum basilicum cuttings root easily. Take a 4-inch stem, cutting just below a leaf node. Remove the lower leaves and place it in a glass of clean water. Roots develop within 7 to 10 days. Once rooted, the plant will continue to produce new leaves that you can harvest continuously. Pinch off the top growth regularly to encourage bushier, more productive growth. The trick with basil in water is warmth and light. Basil loves a warm, sunny windowsill. Keep the water clean and the temperature consistent, and this herb will produce fresh leaves for your kitchen far longer than any soil-grown supermarket basil ever could. Basil in water is the plant that turns your kitchen windowsill into a year-round herb garden. Plant 12. Coleus. The color explosion. Coleus is the plant that proves water growing doesn't have to look minimal or understated. This plant brings an explosion of color. Deep reds, electric greens, hot pinks, bright yellows in patterns so bold they look hand-painted. Solenostemon species root in water almost faster than any other common houseplant. Take a cutting, put it in a glass, and within 3 to 4 days, you'll see roots. The speed is almost comical. And once rooted, Coleus will continue to grow vigorously in water for months, producing new leaves in those stunning color combinations that make it one of the most visually striking houseplants you can own. Here's what makes Coleus special in water. The transparent container lets you see the root system developing, which adds another visual dimension. White roots against colorful stems. In clear water, it's genuinely beautiful. Give it bright, indirect light for the best colors, change the water weekly, and enjoy what is probably the most dramatic water-grown plant on this list. Coleus is the plant that turns water growing into an art form. Plant 13. Arrowhead plant. The shapeshifter. Arrowhead plant is one of those plants that constantly surprises you. When it's young, the leaves are compact, arrow-shaped, and upright. As it matures, the growth habit shifts. Stems begin to trail and cascade, and the leaves become more deeply lobed. It's a plant that reinvents itself over time, and it does all of this happily in water. Syngonium podophyllum is a tropical aroid closely related to philodendrons. Like its cousins, it roots eagerly in water and thrives long-term without soil. Take a stem cutting with a node, place it in water, and roots develop within 1 to 2 weeks. The growth that follows is steady and rewarding. The versatility is what makes arrowhead plants special for water growing. You can keep it on a desk when it's young and compact, then move it to a shelf or hanging display as it matures and begins to trail. One plant, multiple looks, 0 soil required. Arrowhead plant is the plant that evolves with your space and never asks for dirt along the way. Coming up, a plant so tough that it can grow almost anywhere, including in a jar of water on your desk. Plant 14. Begonia. The collector's dream. Begonias might surprise people on this list, but anyone who's tried it knows begonia cuttings root beautifully in water, and certain varieties will continue growing in water for remarkably long periods. Begonia species are enormously diverse. Rex begonias, angel wing begonias, and cane-type begonias all root well from stem cuttings placed in water. The key is taking a healthy cutting with at least one node, placing it in a clean container, and providing bright, indirect light. Roots develop within 2 to 3 weeks, and the plant will continue to produce its signature dramatic foliage, textured, patterned, and sometimes iridescent. Here's what makes begonias exciting for water growers. There are thousands of begonia varieties with wildly different leaf shapes, colors, and textures. You could build an entire water-grown collection of nothing but begonias and never run out of visual variety. Angel wing begonias with their polka dot leaves. Rex begonias with their swirling metallic patterns. Cane begonias with their tall, elegant structure. Each cutting in its own glass vessel becomes a tiny botanical showcase, and because begonias are so visually distinct, a collection of them in matching glass containers looks like a curated art installation. Begonia is the plant that brings collector-level variety to water growing. Plant 15. Sweet potato vine. The kitchen science experiment. This is the one most people tried as kids without even knowing they were water propagating. Take a sweet potato, stick some toothpicks in the sides, suspend it over a jar of water, and watch it sprout. What most people don't realize is that this isn't just a childhood experiment, it's a legitimate way to grow a gorgeous trailing houseplant. Ipomoya batatas produces lush, fast-growing vines with heart-shaped leaves in stunning shades of deep purple, chartreuse, or classic green depending on the variety. The vine grows vigorously in water, trailing out of the container and cascading beautifully across a shelf or windowsill. Growth can be remarkably fast, several inches per week in warm conditions with good light. Here's the appeal. You can start this plant from a grocery store sweet potato. Literally, no nursery trip, no plant order, no special equipment. A sweet potato, a jar of water, and some patience, and within weeks you have a lush, trailing houseplant that looks like you paid real money for it. It's also a fantastic project to do with kids. Watching the roots emerge, the shoots push upward, and the vines start trailing. It's a real-time lesson in how plants grow, and it costs almost nothing. Sweet potato vine is the plant that turns kitchen scraps into living decor. Plant 16. Paperwhite narcissus. The fragrant showstopper. Paperwhite narcissus breaks every assumption about water-grown plants. It's not a foliage plant. It's not tropical. It's a flowering bulb that blooms in nothing but water and stones, and it fills your entire room with one of the most intoxicating fragrances in the plant world. Narcissus papyraceus doesn't need soil, doesn't need chilling, and doesn't need any complicated setup. Place the bulbs in a shallow dish of pebbles. Add water to just below the base of the bulbs and wait. Within a few weeks, green shoots emerge. Within 4 to 6 weeks, tall stems topped with clusters of delicate white flowers open up and release a fragrance that is absolutely unforgettable. The magic of paperwhites is timing. You can stagger your plantings every 2 weeks from autumn through winter and have continuous blooms throughout the coldest months of the year when you need living, fragrant beauty most. Paperwhite narcissus is the plant that proves water growing can be fragrant, elegant, and breathtakingly beautiful. We're in the final stretch now, and the last 4 plants on this list are some of the most impressive you can grow without soil. Plant 17. Hyacinth. The vintage elegance. Hyacinths grown in water are one of the most visually stunning things you can create in your home. Those dense, colorful flower clusters in deep purples, pinks, whites, and blues sitting on top of a glass-forcing vase with their roots cascading below. It's practically a living sculpture. Hyacinthus orientalis bulbs need a cold period before they'll bloom. Place the bulbs in the refrigerator for 8 to 12 weeks. Then set them on a hyacinth forcing vase, those classic hourglass-shaped glasses specifically designed for this purpose. With water just below the base of the bulb, roots grow down into the water. A green shoot pushes upward, and within a few weeks, a stunning, fragrant flower cluster emerges. Here's what makes hyacinths special. The entire growth process is visible. You watch the roots develop, the shoot emerge, and the flower open all in real time, all in water, all inside a glass vessel on your table. It's a masterclass in watching nature work. Hyacinth is the plant that turns water growing into a spectacle. Its vintage elegance meets living science, and it never gets old. Plant 18. Dieffenbachia. The tropical tower. Dieffenbachia is a statement plant. Large, broad, beautifully patterned leaves on sturdy, upright stems. It looks like it belongs in a tropical greenhouse. And it can grow in water for extended periods, adding a dramatic vertical element to your water garden that most other plants can't match. Dieffenbachia species are tropical aroids native to the Americas. Stem cuttings placed in water will root readily, producing thick white roots within 2 to 3 weeks. The leaves are large and decorative, typically green, with cream, white, or yellow variegation patterns that catch the eye from across the room. A note on Dieffenbachia: the sap can irritate skin and mucous membranes if handled carelessly, so always wash your hands after taking cuttings and keep it away from curious pets and small children. That said, this is standard care for many popular houseplants, and it shouldn't discourage you from growing this stunning tropical plant. Dieffenbachia is the plant that brings tropical drama to water, growing tall, bold, and impossible to ignore. Plant 19. Rosemary. The Mediterranean jewel. Rosemary in water might sound surprising, but this fragrant herb roots well from stem cuttings and can grow in water for extended periods before transplanting, or simply stay in water on your kitchen counter where you'll actually use it. Salvia rosmarinus cuttings, taken from fresh, flexible, new-growth root best. Take 4 to 6-inch cuttings, strip the lower leaves, and place them in water. Rosemary roots more slowly than mint or basil. Expect 3 to 4 weeks before you see solid root development. But once those roots establish, the cutting will continue to grow and produce those incredibly fragrant, needle-like leaves that are essential in Mediterranean cooking. Here's the practical beauty. Fresh rosemary from the store costs real money, and dried rosemary doesn't even compare to fresh. A water-rooted rosemary cutting on your windowsill gives you unlimited access to one of the world's greatest culinary herbs. Snip what you need for roasted potatoes, focaccia, lamb, or even a cocktail garnish, and the plant grows it back. Plus, the fragrance alone is worth the effort. A rosemary cutting in water near a sunny window fills the surrounding air with that clean, woodsy, Mediterranean aroma that no candle can replicate. Rosemary is the plant that brings the Mediterranean to your kitchen in nothing but a glass of water. One plant left. I saved it for last because it's the one that genuinely changes how people think about water gardening. Plant 20. Water lettuce. The floating garden. And here we are at number 20. The plant I saved for last because it represents something entirely different. Water lettuce doesn't root in water. It lives on it, floats on it, creates a living, green, self-replicating garden on the surface of water, and it does it without any soil, any container tricks, or any effort from you at all. Pistia stratiotis forms beautiful rosettes of soft, velvety light green leaves that float on the water's surface. Feathery roots dangle below, filtering the water naturally. And here's what makes it remarkable. It reproduces by sending out runners that create new rosettes. One plant becomes 2. 2 become 4. Within weeks, you can have a bowl, a vase, or a decorative container completely covered in a living carpet of soft green rosettes. The care is almost laughably simple. A wide container, clean water, bright, indirect light. That's the entire instruction manual. Water lettuce does the rest. It floats, it grows, it multiplies, and it creates one of the most serene, beautiful displays in all of indoor gardening. A wide glass bowl of water lettuce on a dining table or a coffee table looks like something from a botanical spa. It's peaceful, it's alive, and it requires virtually nothing from you. Water lettuce is the plant that doesn't just grow in water, it turns water itself into a garden. And that's the most powerful idea on this entire list. If you made it all the way here, you've just walked through something that changes the game for indoor gardening. 20 plants, 0 soil, no drainage holes, no repotting disasters, no fungus gnats, just clean water, beautiful glass vessels, and living plants that keep growing week after week. Water growing isn't a compromise. It isn't a shortcut. For these 20 plants, it's a perfectly legitimate way to garden that's cleaner, simpler, and often more beautiful than traditional soil growing. Whether you're in a tiny apartment with no outdoor space, a dorm room with barely a windowsill, or a house full of pets and kids where soil pots get knocked over constantly, water growing meets you where you are. Tell me in the comments, which plant on this list are you trying first? Are you team trailing vines, team kitchen herbs, or team flowering bulbs? I read every comment, and I love hearing from you. If this video brought you something valuable, subscribe so you don't miss the next one. Sometimes the best garden doesn't start with a bag of soil. Sometimes it starts with a glass of water and a single cutting just waiting for you to drop it in.